Hello, good morning, my creative friends. Super excited to be here with all of you on a gorgeous Friday morning. And I wanted to share, I just had the most amazing, beautiful walk. So not only were the temperatures nice and cool, but it felt really lovely to be outside early, just moving my body, and I paused, as I often do, to take some pictures of flowers. And I heard a hawk calling overhead. And I was relatively near, not very near, where the red-tailed hawks have a nest. And they have at least one, maybe two babies that have fledged this year. But this hawk started, screaming at me to catch my attention. And then he flew off, and I sat and watched, or she flew off, watched this hawk circling. I even took some videos, and he just their piercing cry is sort of just haunting and beautiful. And so as I'm sort of watching him and continuing my walk along, a car came by and apparently startled deer. And we don't see deer right here very often. And three deer ran across the road, also in the area where I was walking. It was just one of those moments of connection to nature that I find so blissful and always so inspiring. And I just had to share that with you all. I love the way that being outside in nature helps me feel grounded and connected and start my day in a very different way than I normally do. But what I want to talk about today on Painting in Your PJs Live is, how do we interpret our intuitive collage? How do we understand it? So I've been working with collage for a couple of decades now. I became a soul collage facilitator way back in 2012, and love that process, and have taken so much from that into my other intuitive collage work. And I started thinking about all the collage work that I've been doing this week, and what's the meaning underneath it? Is there a deeper story that's evolving or emerging? So I thought I'd share some of my prompts with you. Good morning, Blanca. Some of the specific prompts that I use to help me understand some of my intuitive collage. And I also thought I'd work on another collage while I do that, and maybe then flip through to some of the collages that I've done this week already as well, because it's been a collagey week and I'm still feeling very pulled and drawn to collage. So, welcome to Painting in Your PJs with Minette. I'm Dr. Minette Riordan, and I am passionate about art as creative process, as a tool for personal growth and self-discovery. And I love helping women in midlife really live a renaissance, that we don't have to spend our time in crisis, or once we get past the crisis and find ourselves in kind of a soup of who am I and what's next. Turning to art is a powerful tool for that path of self discovery and figuring out, who am I now? So oftentimes we look in the mirror and we may not recognize ourselves, or we may not love the changes that we're seeing. And so we can rewrite the story on the page and start to see new things unfold, and really sort of honor and acknowledge ourselves in some different ways. All right. So I was just flipping through my images. I have a stack of people images here, and this woman really popped out to me. This was leftover paint from a session the other day. I was just, cleaning off my palette using up paint, and there was something about her that speaks to me of longing. So I think I'm going to start with creating a collage page with her as the central image. And then as we go along, we'll start to talk about some of these specific prompts. But I'm really loving this blue in the background here, which was this phthalo, or no, this was Prussian blue. And I'm going to add quite a bit of water to this. This is a heavy body acrylic that I inherited from my mom, and it's great for canvas, but it's a little bit of overkill for art journaling. But I really love the color of that Prussian blue. And sometimes, man, it feels so good to just put the paint on the page. Like there's no destination in mind here. There's only sort of that deep curiosity and wonder, feeling into the brush strokes and where does the paint want to go? How does it want to move? And I love working in really translucent layers of acrylic paint where I can still see some of that yummy grunginess that was underneath. All right, so I'm going to let that dry for a minute. And I had just randomly picked up a magazine. Somebody had left this in our little library. I'm going to set this page aside for just a second. And I was flipping through this magazine this morning, and what caught my eye was some roses. And so the figure that I'm working with, and there's a carnation as well, but I felt really drawn to these roses. So I think these roses want to be on the page. This kind of looks like where I was walking this morning without as much water. And this one has so many great images for collage. I was super, super happy to find it. So people often ask me, now I have to find my scissors. People often ask me, what are my favorite magazines, or where do I find magazines? Any magazine can be valuable for doing intuitive collage and having a variety of subjects and topics is important, because then when you're working with intuitive collage, you have a variety of types of images to work with. But I love all the Stampington magazines, like Art Journal magazine is a great one. Good morning, Tori. Late after a walk with your daughter and two Great Danes. I'm glad to be here too, and you must be back home now, Tori, and probably happy and sad to be home at the same time. Spirituality and Health is one of my favorite magazines for collage. Okay, don't ask me why, but these feet feel kind of fun and interesting. Maybe not for this collage because it's not quite my color palette, but maybe for something else. So I'm going to hold on to those feet and maybe that top too. Breathe magazine is another one I really love. They have great graphic illustrations of all kinds. Um, Fashion magazines can be fun. Real Simple, Oprah. When you're doing intuitive collage, National Geographics are phenomenal because you get a lot of different kinds of images, and especially they can be great if you're doing any shadow work at all. So those would be some of my favorites, but I always pick up free little local free magazines. Coffee shops, grocery stores have a lot of free magazines. All right, buddy, you've been very patient. Come on up. Good. Yeah, good morning. Diego needs to come and say hello. Still in Denver. Awesome. Thrift stores, used bookstores, little libraries, your public library often will sell old magazines. So keep your eyes peeled for sources. Old used books, inexpensive used books or free books can be really awesome for collage work. That's a great question. So Yvonne asked, do I cut things out to have ahead of time, or do you like looking for things as you need them? Collecting so many books and magazines, trying to figure out how to organize the chaos. Yeah, such a great question. I would say it's both and. When I start to get a really big stack, then I will definitely like sit on the sofa and or come down in the studio, put on a movie, and just pull pages out of magazines and do some fussy cutting, right? Like so with some of these, right, there's a whole image, but if there's small images, these are good ones for collage. Like if I wanted this polo pony, then I would just cut out that polo pony. I kind of like these words. Oh my gosh, I did not see that an elk entered the used book library in Estes Park yesterday. I'll have to go see if I can find that online. That's hilarious. Um, when we were up there to meet you, my husband went for a walk around the river, and the half the trail was closed, and he had to go all the way around the golf course because the elk were on the path, and it's calving season, and they're very aggressive right now. So that's a little scary. So I would say it's both and Yvonne, that I definitely spend time like this was pre-cut already. Sometimes I just rip pages out so then I can throw the rest of the magazine away. And but I definitely make time to sort them. And this is something I learned from my days of soul collage, is that I sort them into people, background images. So, for example, these are some background images from a collage book, or what else is here? You know, this would be a background image. So, I have big 12-inch square plastic, those jewel cases that have backgrounds, people, animals. I have an envelope of animals, small images, so I do sort them because it makes that collage process faster. And I actually find it very meditative and soothing to just sit and cut images or tear pages. And then sometimes if I look through my stash and I don't have what I want, then I will go to books or magazines. But what happens if we spend too much time looking through magazines, we use up all of our time and we don't ever get to making the collage, or we get caught up in reading. So interesting. So somewhere in here, I flip by the words, the future is now. And I don't always put words in my collages unless it feels like it's the right words. Hmm. Dream feels like she feels pretty dreamy, doesn't she? So it's feeling like maybe just one word on here might be nice. And that one's actually the right colors too. Okay, so that was the perfect word. And I tend to choose pretty quickly and randomly. I just trust the process. Again, this is for me not about making pretty pages, but meaningful pages. You are so welcome. It's such a great question and one I get a lot. I also have, boxes of just like collage paper, book pages, deli prints, gel print, paper to gel print on. All right. So this makes me really curious about what aspect of me is, in that sort of dreamy place right now. And it allows me to kind of get super, super curious about what part of me is this, right? What part of me is this? What part of me is speaking or showing up on the page today? And I think I'm going to use map medium to adhere all of this in case I want to come in with a little more paint or a few more marks. So I'm going to grab. And so when you're doing this kind of intuitive collage, I don't have my phone. Normally I would snap a picture of it. Thank you, Tori. I would snap a picture of it so I remember where those images go. But because this one is so simple, I think we're going to be okay. So I'm going to use quite a bit of matte medium. So magazine images in collage can be a little bit trickier because they can buckle up. So you want to make sure you get that matte medium on the surface and the back and the front of your image. And don't be afraid to be generous with that matte medium. It will dry. clear. And my paint is probably not 100% dry, which is okay. But I want to make sure I get this on here nice and flat. I'm definitely getting some of that blue paint mixing in, which is kind of fine. And it'll just continue to add to the sort of moodiness of the piece here. And I love when a collage comes together really fast like this. You guys have seen me, over time. They don't all come together this fast. Some definitely take a longer time for this story to unfold. But this one felt like the story was simple, and I chose the focal image first, right? So sometimes we can have a whole stack of images and wonder what to do, but sometimes try just pick one focal image and let it develop from there. And I'm using a Starbucks gift card. It is one of the best tools for really working out all the wrinkles, this bigger image. Definitely trying to work out a few of those wrinkles. And with magazine images, you can see you can start to scrape off some of that, color with too much rubbing, which I'm good because this is a sort of grungy style picture. And so it's okay. It is coming out kind of rather gorgeous, isn't it? If I say so myself. She's beautiful. This is from a magazine called Enchanted. I think it used to be Fairy Magazine. It's an absolutely gorgeous magazine. Another favorite for Collage. Enchanted magazine has really beautiful layouts and settings. I'm going to try and get maybe a little less of that blue over the top, which may be challenging. And there's something about matte medium over like just glue stick that sort of brings the piece together. It just flattens everything a little bit so everything looks as if it's sort of cohesive in all one part. I'm just cleaning my tool off on that left page over there. It's all going to get, painted or collaged over. So definitely getting some wrinkles in there, but that's okay. We're just going to go with it. And so I'm feeling like it needs a little bit of white, maybe some white posca or white gel pen. I love using my fingers for this because I can feel like I can get things down, nice and smooth on there. But then, I'm trying to get matte medium off my fingers for a long time. So people often ask why matte medium over Mod Podge. So for a couple of reasons. So matte medium is basically acrylic paint without the pigment. So it's not actually designed to be a glue, but it makes a great surface for painting or drawing over and building up layers in this way. Also, it dries um, like acrylic paint. Mod Podge is sticky. So if you use Mod Podge in an art journal, you have to do some wax paper or something in between your pages because your pages are going to end up being too sticky. So those are some benefits of using matte medium over Mod Podge for collage. But I also just love using glue stick because it's fast and furious. So this needs to get completely dry before I add anything to it. But I love the simplicity of the page, right? I love the look on her face. I love there's a sense of dreams coming to fruition, of something, about to bloom and be birthed that feels really inspiring. And so I have some journal prompts that I wanted to share with you that I always use in my intuitive collage that help me just understand more what I'm noticing. And so, number one would be I feel. So, when I look at this, I feel this sense of warmth and curiosity, a little bit of longing. So, it feels like a dream, right? I see the intensity of her gaze. I see the roses are pretty open. They're not in buds, right? But they're also not completely open. So there's this sense of blooming, right? I am in this dreaming space right now. So I feel, I see, I am. I wonder what she's thinking about. I wonder what she's thinking about. I wonder what is the gift here? The gift here is to remind me to be patient with the dreaming stage. I often want to leap right into action when I have an idea, and sometimes it's the slow unfurling of the idea that's so powerful. So, what is the gift in the collage is a great prompt. What is the question here for me? Is there a question that's appearing? Like the question could simply be, well, what is the dream? Like I have a sense of dreaming, but do I know what the dream is? Or what's the story of the piece overall? What is the story of the piece all overall? Could I paint over Mod Podge? You can, it's not designed for that necessarily, but it's always worth giving it a try. But it's a glue, so it has a very different purpose, right? So I would play with the Mod Podge and see if you could paint over it. You might create some really interesting transparencies, who knows? So if I go back to this, much busier page here, how does this feel? So it feels expansive and spacious now that I added the paint yesterday. What do I see? I see lots of movement and activity, but I also see space and time to rest. I see opportunity for travel and adventure, right? I see that there's plenty of light. I see the focus on love here. I am the artist. I am the artist on the path. I am the artist on the journey. So I am the artist, right? I wonder where the artist is traveling to, right? Because we talked a lot about the portal, right? I wonder where the artist is traveling to. I wonder what the portal means. So these are just really simple prompts. What is the question? So the question I started with this collage is, what is my soul yearning for? What is my soul yearning for? And it was adventure, right? Creativity, rest, love, right? So it's very clear what the question was when I started this one. But what's the story here, right? The story here is definitely a journey, right? It's about traveling. I think it's about trust. It's about being willing to step out of my comfort zone. It's about being willing to pause. It's about being willing to keep falling in love with my life over and over again. So, six very simple journaling prompts that we can use to understand our intuitive collage. Because for me, a collage isn't finished. A collage isn't finished until I've done that extra work, until I've taken some time to really sit with it and ask myself some of these questions. So, again, those prompts are I feel, I see or notice, I am, I wonder, what is the gift, what is the question, and what is the story? Actually, that's seven prompts, not six prompts. That's hilarious. So, I feel, I see, I am, I wonder, what is the gift in the story, right? Or what is the gift in the page? What is the question that I didn't even know to ask? And then what's the story overall? So, in a busy piece like this one over here, right, there's again, we have a portal here. I have a lot of different images that merit time spent in translation and curiosity. but there's a story overall, right? And again, there's sort of that story of transformation. Travel is a theme. Look, the sun is here on this page. Reflection. So there's a lot of themes, but it's overall feels like a story of emerging, right? A story of emerging. And this one is a story of journey and adventure. And then this one is a story of dreaming into being. Dreaming into being. What am I dreaming into being on these pages? So that was what I had to share with you all today. Happy Friday, happy holiday weekend. I will be doing a fun mini paint-a-thon on July 4th from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. Mountain Time. Come for part, come for all, and join me for some fun painting. I will see you guys all next Tuesday. Have a beautiful rest of your day and a lovely weekend. Thanks for joining me live. Thanks for watching the replay. Be sure to hit that like button and let me know you're enjoying what it is that I'm sharing. Thanks so much, everybody. Great to see you.